imagine life without a refrigerator. Scary, right? For the majority of us, that is a nightmare. We rely on it for anything from yesterday night's leftovers to our favorite ice cream. For the Amish, however, it is simply part of their daily lives. They've perfected the skill of preserving meat without the need of power, utilizing techniques passed down through centuries. And believe it or not, their ways are so effective that they could outperform your high end freezer in a world full of electronics. The Amish stand out for clinging to traditional practices. There's no sophisticated technology or refrigeration, just plain time tested procedures. The Amish, known for their self sufficiency, are unique when it comes to meat preservation. They don't just keep their food edible, they extend its shelf life and improve its taste. I'll admit it, the first time I tried Amish cured ham, I was hesitant. No fridge? Really? But the taste blew me away. It was smoky, tasty, and lasted longer than anything I'd ever kept in the freezer. If you believe meat without refrigeration tastes stale or dry, think again. The Amish have refined these ways for not only preserving, but also improving the quality of their meat. Salt has long been a trusted ally in food preservation, and the Amish have elevated this simple mineral to the level of art. Salt is nature's oldest preservative for keeping meat fresh, and the Amish know how to use it effectively. Rub liberal amounts of salt onto portions of meat to suck away moisture, which is critical in preventing bacteria from taking hold. Moisture is the enemy of meat preservation, and salt is the superhero that fights it. Using salt is more than merely sprinkling it on meat and calling it good. There's a procedure involved, almost like a religious ceremony. The Amish carefully choose their cuts, whether pig, beef, or poultry, and then don't hold back. They sprinkle salt lavishly, making sure every nook and corner is covered. It's almost like giving the meat a wonderful spa treatment, but without the cucumber slices. Here's a fun fact. The expression, worth your salt, comes from ancient times, when salt was more valuable than gold in some areas. Roman troops were occasionally rewarded with salt, could you imagine? Thanks for your service. Here's your salary in salt. The Amish still use this old knowledge today, using salt as more than just a flavor for their meat. When I first saw the salt curing process, I was astounded. I reasoned that if I had to rely on this method for dinner, I would most likely wind up with a meat popsicle. But the Amish have got it down to a science. The finished product isn't simply palatable, it's a flavor explosion. The salt penetrates into the meat, improving its natural flavor and acting as a preservative. The beauty of this strategy is in its simplicity. While many of us are busy packing our meats into refrigerators, the Amish are letting salt do the heavy lifting. And the best part? This approach permits the meat to develop a deep flavor that cannot be found in frozen foods. It's like a culinary secret passed down through generations, with each family adding their own little variation to the basic method. However, relying exclusively on salt is insufficient to assure the meat's durability, particularly under changing weather conditions or while being transported. The Amish are aware of this and understand that an additional layer of protection is required. Smoking transforms meat preservation. It does more than just add that enticing savory flavor we all enjoy. It also serves as an effective preservation mechanism. The Amish have mastered this process, utilizing smoke to further dry their meats, extending their shelf life much beyond that of fresh cuts. Walking into any Amish kitchen, you're likely to see smoked hams, sausages, and bacon hanging proudly from the rafters, all meticulously crafted with artistry. Smoking is more than simply a flavor enhancer. It also contributes to the creation of an environment in which hazardous microorganisms struggle to survive. The combination of heat, smoke, and low moisture creates a hostile environment for undesirable guests. Interestingly, smoking can extend the shelf life of meat by many months. If done correctly, it can even maintain that flavor for an entire year. Imagine having perfectly preserved beef in your pantry, ready for the next family feast. I once tried smoking beef, thinking it would be a fun weekend hobby. Let's just say the aroma floating through the neighborhood misled my neighbors into believing I was throwing an impromptu campfire celebration. They came up anticipating s'mores rather than smoked ribs. However, in Amish houses, the smoking process is managed with such care that it is considered a delicate science. They understand which types of wood to use, how long to smoke, and at what temperature. Every detail counts, and the end product is something absolutely unique. This approach is more than just dumping meat into a smoky pit and hoping for the best. The Amish use specific woods, such as hickory or apple, for their sweet, rich flavor. They closely monitor everything to maintain a controlled environment that balances heat and smoke. It's more than just a cooking technique. It's a time-honored tradition of expertise and patience. You'd think that after all of their hard labor, the Amish would have enough smoked meat to last a lifetime. They are nevertheless sensible people who recognize that there are occasions when an alternative is necessary. Not everyone has a limitless supply of wood to keep the smoke flowing. That's when another clever strategy comes into play. This method adds a sweeter touch to the preservation game and provides another option to keep meat fresh. While salt and smoke are powerful meat preservation agents, the Amish have a nice trick up their sleeve: sugar curing. This approach blends sugar's sweetness with salt's preservation properties, resulting in a distinct flavor profile for meat. It's especially popular with hams and bacon, transforming them into something absolutely unique. The procedure is simple but effective. The Amish combine sugar and salt and rub it into the meat, letting the two work their magic. Sugar, like salt, increases flavor while also drawing out moisture. This produces an ideal environment for preservation while adding a delectable sweetness. It's the gastronomic equivalent of a cozy hug on a chilly day. You could think of sugar curing as nature's version of candy-coated bacon, but it lasts much longer than the stuff you buy at the grocery store. The first time I tried sugar-cured bacon, I thought I had discovered a new food group. It was sweet, salty, and everything you could possibly desire in a breakfast delight. And the best part, it didn't simply taste excellent, it also demonstrated the Amish's resourcefulness in their ways. Interestingly, sugar curing is not a novel notion. It has been used for ages, with its origins dating back to when people learned sugar could do more than just sweeten tea. The Amish have improved this age-old method over time, resulting in meats that are both excellent and can be preserved for months. In reality, properly sugar-cured meat can last for a long time if stored correctly. Definitely a useful skill when winter arrives. This approach relies heavily on a delicate balance of salt and sugar. Too much sugar results in meat that tastes more like dessert than dinner. Too little and the wonderful sweetness is lost. The Amish have perfected the ratio so that every bite explodes with flavor. This process is not limited to ham and bacon. It is used on a variety of meats, each with its own distinct flavor. Sugar curing gives up a world of taste for pig loin and other cuts of meat. However, even the sweetest approach has limitations. While sugar curing is great for taste and preservation, it does leave meat with a little sticky skin. To avoid this difficulty, the Amish frequently follow up with a drying process, which results in a harder texture that is enjoyable to chew. When it comes to preservation, the Amish unleash another powerhouse, vinegar. This sour liquid isn't only for salad dressing. Its acidity produces an environment in which bacteria cannot live, making it an excellent choice for pickling meats. The Amish frequently use vinegar brines to preserve sausages and fish, giving them a flavor boost that makes your taste buds dance. Vinegar brining is more than just increasing shelf life. It also adds zest to each mouthful. It also gives meats a particular tang that can enhance any dish. The procedure is simple but effective. The Amish use vinegar with spices, herbs, and sometimes even sugar to make a brine that brings out the finest in their meats. This approach allows the vinegar to penetrate deep into the meat, preserving moisture and keeping harmful microorganisms at bay. My grandmother liked to pickle everything, including vegetables, fruits, and on occasion, meat. She once attempted to pickle some chicken. Let's just say that the outcome was an experience. The beef wasn't quite up to Amish standards. It packed a vinegary punch, but it was a little too experimental for our family. At the very least, she was brave enough to try new things. Vinegar brining is remarkable because of its versatility. The Amish can customize their brines using different vinegars, such as apple cider or white, each with its own distinct flavor character. Depending on what they're preserving, they can tailor the spices to complement the meat properly. Dill, garlic, and peppercorns are just a few favorites that frequently make their way into the mix, resulting in a beautifully diverse flavor that is anything but boring. A little known fact is that vinegar has been used as a preservation for ages. Vinegar was used by ancient Egyptians to preserve food, while Roman troops used it to prevent food spoiling during long campaigns. It's astonishing how a simple ingredient can withstand the passage of time and stay relevant in modern kitchens. However, vinegar brining has its own set of oddities. The intense acidity can be overpowering if not adjusted properly. Too much vinegar can transform your meat into a sour mess. The Amish understand the importance of hitting the sweet spot when the brine complements the meat without overpowering it. Their skill and tradition help them create precisely brined meats that are both delicious and safe. Vinegar brined meats can be stored in the refrigerator for several weeks, making them a popular choice among Amish households. They frequently utilize these preserved meats in heavy meals like casseroles or sandwiches where the acidic flavor can shine. The charm of vinegar brining stems from its simplicity and efficacy. It's a process that not only preserves, but also improves the flavor of meat, giving each bite an unforgettable experience. Many people believe that rendering fat is a lost art, yet for the Amish, it is a tradition and a necessity. This age-old procedure includes carefully heating animal fat until it melts, then separating the liquid lard from the solid parts. But here's where the magic happens. Once cooked, the melted lard can be poured over cooked meats, forming a thick coating that preserves freshness and flavor. This strategy isn't just for show, it's useful. By encasing meats in lard, the Amish create an airtight seal that prevents rotting for months. It's like a culinary time capsule, preserving the meat's flavor and texture while keeping those pesky bacteria away. In fact, if stored in a cold, dry place, rendered fat can keep food fresh for up to 6 months. It's a remarkable feat that illustrates the Amish's inventiveness in utilizing every component of the animal. When I first heard of lard storage, I imagined my kitchen looking like a grease bomb. Who needs Tupperware when you have grease, right? However, the Amish manage it with dignity, using it not only for preservation, but also for cooking. Lard is a versatile ingredient that adds richness to recipes while keeping them safe and fresh. The process of converting fat is quite simple, but it does require some patience. To ensure that the fat melts uniformly, it must first be chopped into small pieces. Then it's placed in a pot over low heat to slowly render. What was the result? A stunning golden liquid ready to work its magic. What about the leftover bits? Cracklings are a tasty snack on their own. One intriguing fact is that lard was formerly the preferred cooking fat before veggie oils took over. It is high in monounsaturated fats, which are actually healthier than the trans fats present in many processed meals today. Despite this, many people continue to associate lard negatively due to years of health fads. The Amish, on the other hand, have continued to reap the benefits, passing along the tradition from generation to generation. This technique demonstrates not just the Amish's culinary skills, but also their dedication to sustainability. Nothing is wasted since they use every part of the animal, and their food storage practices are consistent with their beliefs of simplicity and resourcefulness. In addition to self-sufficiency, there's something appealing about the thought of sealing in flavors with rendered fat rather than plastic wrap. Root cellars, like every other part of the Amish home, serve a purpose. These underground havens are not only used to store vegetables, they also play an important role in the preservation of cured meats. Imagine entering a cold, gloomy environment that feels like you've stepped back in time. A natural refrigerator that uses no electricity. The consistent low temperatures and humidity levels offer a perfect environment for slowing deterioration and extending meat shelf life without the use of chemical preservatives. My neighbor attempted to create a root cellar once, but the result was a muddy pit that attracted more raccoons than anything else. The idea of sharing dinner with a raccoon just does not set well with me. However, the Amish understand how to keep their food safe and their vermin out. Their root cellars maintain the proper equilibrium through meticulous construction and ventilation, ensuring that their hard-earned meats stay fresh and tasty. Cured meats can hang freely in these root cellars, allowing for ventilation to minimize moisture buildup and spoiling. Some may marvel how these modest structures can preserve meat for months. The trick is in the temperature. Root cellars should have a temperature between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, and 4 degrees Celsius. This coldness, combined with the darkness, slows enzyme reactions and bacterial development, the primary causes of food rotting. It's an ideal combination of nature and old. Root cellars have been utilized for generations, and many cultures rely on them to store food. Archaeological evidence indicates that they date back to prehistoric civilizations. Nonetheless, the Amish have carried on this heritage, combining practicality with a desire for environmentally friendly living. They are preserving not only meat, but also a way of life that values the land and its resources. Root cellars are ideal for more than simply meat. The cool, wet climate is ideal for storing potatoes, carrots, and apples. Some families have been known to make their own tiny food pyramids, stacking vegetables and meats to maximize space. It's similar to a treasure hunt. Open the door and you never know what you'll uncover. Root cellars are quite useful, but they are not the only tool in the Amish preservation repertoire. When winter arrives, they devise another strategy that takes advantage of the chilly weather. When winter hits in Amish land, it's time for a seasonal technique of meat preservation that's both simple and brilliant. Outdoor freezing. When temperatures fall well below freezing, chilly air becomes an ally in the effort to keep meat fresh. Consider a large slab of beef, meticulously cooked and placed out in the frigid air, effectively transforming the backyard into a giant freezer. It's like having your own personal snowbox without having to worry about electrical bills. The Amish have always known nature's power, and they have taken advantage of the searing cold weather. Following a good butchering season, families frequently hang larger chunks of meat outside. The cold air prevents the meat from rotting for weeks, if not months, making it a dependable technique of long-term storage. I can only imagine the neighbors observing and thinking, wow, those Amish people sure know how to make winter work for them. It's important to be mindful of the weather. Too much snow or rain can affect the quality of the meat, so the Amish often cover their outdoor meat storage with burlap or other breathable materials. This way, the meat stays dry and they can enjoy the benefits of winter without any nasty surprises. What's even more fascinating is that freezing meat at extremely low temperatures actually improves its texture and flavor. The ice crystals that form during freezing help to let's not forget the playful side of this method. Imagine a scene with kids bundled up, running outside to check on the meat, probably fighting over who gets to bring it in for dinner. "I'll carry the ham if you carry the sausage," they might say, with a snowball fight breaking out in between. But let's be honest, no one wants to make snow angels in the meat storage area, probably not the best way to preserve the flavor. The Amish have a remarkable ability to incorporate this practice into their daily lives. They plan ahead of time for winter, ensuring that they have enough supplies to last through the colder months. It's not just about preservation, but also about self-sufficiency and resourcefulness. As they prepare hearty meals for their families, they appreciate the simplicity of using what nature provides. Drying meat is a time-honored method of food preservation that the Amish have perfected. The process involves removing moisture from the meat, which inhibits bacterial growth and extends its shelf life. Imagine hanging long strips of seasoned meat in a warm, dry place, and it transforms into delicious jerky that can last for months. The Amish have perfected the art of drying meat, which they often hang in well-ventilated barns or outdoors on warm, sunny days, allowing the natural elements to work their magic. Drying meat is more than just preserving it, it's an art form. What's fascinating is that this isn't just a way to make jerky. The dried meat can be rehydrated later for soups and stews, making it a versatile option for meals. You could say that the Amish have their own version of meat multitasking. Who wouldn't want a product that can serve as both a quick snack and a hearty meal ingredient? Talk about getting the most bang for your buck. And let's face it, nothing beats the satisfaction of biting into a piece of jerky that's been seasoned just right. Have you ever had a piece of jerky that was so tough you could practically use it to hammer nails? It's a culinary disaster, but the Amish version, it's full of flavor, perfectly chewy, and utterly satisfying. You can almost hear the taste buds dancing in delight. The Amish have perfected pressure canning, a technique that allows them to seal meat in jars and keep it safe and tasty for years. While you might imagine a pantry full of jars of jam or fresh fruits, the Amish have taken this concept to a whole new level. It's like having a secret weapon for dinner, eliminating the need for last-minute trips to the store. My friend's family used to can everything during the summer, and they had a whole shelf full of it. It's a practical approach to food preservation, especially for large families or harvest time when there's a lot of meat to process. Sealing meat in jars and cooking it under high pressure creates an airtight environment that kills any bacteria and ensures its longevity. I used to think that canning was an old-fashioned pastime, but seeing the Amish do it has changed my mind. They prepare their meat, fill the jars, and place them in a pressure cooker, which creates an environment that not only preserves the meat, but also locks in its flavors. It's a little like magic. One moment you've got raw meat, and the next you're holding a jar of hearty beef stew, ready to go at a moment's notice. While pressure canning is a fantastic way to ensure a long-term supply of meat, the Amish have a few more ingenious methods tucked away, especially handy when winter hits. When you hear the word pemmican, you might think of a fancy new health trend, but let me tell you, this is the real deal. Pemmican is an age-old recipe crafted by the Amish, blending dried meat, rendered fat, and sometimes even berries. It's a powerhouse of, and I once thought I could whip up a batch of pemmican to have on hand for busy days. I pictured it as a delicious homemade energy bar, something I could grab on the go, but I ended up with a gloppy mess that tasted more like regret than anything edible. Meanwhile, the Amish have mastered this ancient craft. Each batch is like a mini miracle of preservation and nourishment. What makes pemmican such a fantastic food? The combination of dried meat and rendered fat creates a long-lasting energy source. It's like packing a camping trip's worth of nutrition into a single bite. You could be out in the field and need something to sustain you, and there it is, a piece of pemmican ready to go. Just don't ask me to make it for you. I'll gladly leave that to the pros. Pemmican can last for years without spoiling, especially if stored in a cool, dry place. It's packed with protein and healthy fats, making it the kind of food that keeps you going. It may not be on the menu at your local restaurant, but believe me, if the lights go out and the world goes sideways, you'll wish you had a pantry stocked with this stuff. My neighbor tried to impress us with his version of pemmican, thinking he was adding a gourmet twist by tossing in some chocolate chips, but it didn't go so well. The Amish, on the other hand, know just the right balance to create a product that's both nutritious and tasty, ensuring that every bite is a testament to their culinary wisdom. The Amish have mastered the art of food preservation, relying on nature and traditional techniques rather than the latest gadgets. Their methods, from salt curing to pemmican, are timeless, practical, and a little magical. It's amazing how they've perfected the art of food preservation. Who knew you could outsmart bacteria with just a dash of salt, some smoke, and a little clever thinking? In a world where convenience frequently trumps tradition, what do you think? Ready to try some of these traditional techniques in your kitchen? Whether you're looking to add a touch of history to your meals or extend the life of your food without relying on electricity, these methods are a fantastic start. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more unique insights into age-old traditions and practical tips. Let us know in the comments. Have you tried any of these techniques? What's your favorite?